All right, welcome back again to my weekly NFL video. This is week 9, and we've got awards, rankings, predictions, and headlines. We've got a lot to talk about. Plus, we've got a little bit of a surprise at the end. Stay tuned for that. Our first headline is the Commanders' window might already be closed. Unfortunately, Jayden Daniels suffered a horrific elbow injury to his left arm, and it's going to put him out for the rest of the season. In the future, this could be his RG3 moment with a career-ending injury, because even though this isn't his throwing arm, that bad of an injury with his elbow bending the wrong way, especially as a running quarterback, is going to severely hinder his ability to do what he's meant to do on offense. Next, Christian McCaffrey is carrying the 49ers. I think if he keeps this up, he could be an MVP or at least an Offensive Player of the Year candidate, because he's literally 7th in receiving yards, which is insane because he's a running back. But with their entire offense basically injured all the way through, it makes sense why he's had to do that. And he's gone back to his 2023 form, and I love it. Next, the Bengals defense is really bad. And if you look at the last 2 games, the offense for the Bengals has averaged 40 points per game. And they've lost both to the Jets and the Bears. 2 historically bad teams. It's really disappointing because they have such a good offense, and they just have to hold out until December for when Joe Burrow gets back. But the Bengals defense cannot do anything. They need to trade some players for some picks so that they can start rebuilding that. Otherwise, they're going to waste Joe Burrow's potential. Next, the Packers are weird. Very weird. Okay, they've been able to beat some good teams, like the Lions, but then they end up losing to the Browns and the Panthers. And the Panthers aren't a bad team. They're just mid. They're 2 easiest, or at least 2 of the easiest teams on their schedule they have lost to, which means they could be dangerous in the playoffs, but I just don't see them being consistent enough to really do anything, despite having some really great games. Finally, our main headline is Colts and Cowboys cover their biggest weaknesses. The trade deadline was a huge event this week, and the Colts got Sauce Gardner to finally patch up that secondary that really needed some help, and the Cowboys got their central front 7 player in Quinnen Williams, both from the Jets, in fact, because the Jets are selling their entire team for first-round draft picks. And we'll have to see how it works. I think the Colts will benefit the most from this, but the Cowboys, they're just too far behind to really do anything with this. All right, let's head over to our Week 9 awards, starting with the most improved team being the Vikings, getting a really nice 27-24 win over the Lions, which is a huge win because the Vikings really need to make up some ground as the last team in their division, and it shows that they really do have a high ceiling with J.J. McCarthy. They just need to make sure that they maintain that potential. Our biggest decline is the Green Bay Packers. Again, I already spoke about them, so I'll keep it brief, but they should not be losing to the Panthers at any point in the season if they want to win a playoff game. Our biggest surprise is the Chicago Bears, again, scoring 47 points against the Bengals. Absolutely insane. Game of the week was the Bears at the Bengals. Let me set the scene for you. The Bengals are down big, and Joe Flacco clutches up and gets 15 points in the last 2 minutes of the game. The Bears have the ball of about 60 yards out from the end zone, and all the Bengals have to do is hold on for 25 seconds. You know what happens? They throw to Colston Loveland, and he outruns the entire secondary on a prevent play. How do you let that happen? How? How does this game ever have the chance to occur? Final score 47-42. That's insane, but it was entertaining. Snoozer of the week is the Broncos at the Texans. Not only because this was a really slow game with very little points scored, but also because CJ Stroud got a concussion and will probably end the Texans season, as Davis Mills is not very good. Our MVP of the week is Sam Darnold. He has been playing great, and I feel like even though he might not be an MVP candidate this year, he sure as heck is performing very well and has been improving over the year. I thought at first when they lost to the 49ers and had that awful fumble to end the game that they were not going to be very good, but they've kept getting better. Jackson Smith-Njigba is shaping up to have a historical wide receiver season. Their defense is good, their offense is well-rounded, and it's just so fun to see them actually succeed. In our clutch quarterback position, we have Joe Flacco. Yes, he lost, but he had 2 touchdowns in the last 2 minutes. He did all he could in that game. In our surprise player of the week, we have Caleb Williams. Again, I'm talking about this game a lot, but Caleb Williams really did just have a great play at the end after that Ravens loss, only scoring 16 points to now scoring 47. And our miss of the week is Tua Tagovailoa. After having a solid game with 31 points, they went back to their losing ways and got absolutely trampled by the Ravens. Our Super Bowl prediction will be hidden for now. Again, stay tuned for later where I will explain that. And play of the week was Colston Loveland's touchdown catch to ice the game versus the Bears. This was almost blooper of the week because of how bad the coverage was on Colston Loveland on that play. I do think that he did a great job of staying on his feet and being able to outrun that secondary and get that giant touchdown. So did Caleb Williams getting that dot to him in the perfect spot. Overall, a great play. And blooper of the week was Jordan Love's should have been interception late in the game against the Panthers. He rolled out. He had a ton of time to find somebody and just threw it directly to a defensive back. All right, in the tier list, we did not have as much movement as last week because last week was crazy. But in OOF tier, we have the Titans, Raiders, Jets, Saints, Browns, and welcome back, Dolphins, from the OOF tier. You are officially garbage again. In OOF tier, we have the Falcons, Giants, and cold Bengals. You are not going to get anywhere with that defense. In mid-tier, we have the Commanders, Cowboys, rising Cardinals, cold Texans, and rising Panthers. The Texans are here because of that concussion to CJ Stroud, and the Cardinals finally showed that they were able to win a game against a somewhat good opponent. In solid tier, we have the Jaguars, Steelers, rising Niners, Bears, and hot Vikings after their win over the Lions. In powerhouse tier, we have the Chargers, the hot Ravens after getting Lamar Jackson back, the Packers after losing to the Panthers, and the Buccaneers. In juggernaut tier, we have a whopping 9 teams, starting with the Eagles, hot Broncos, Rams, Colts, Lions, Chiefs, Bills, rising Patriots, and the Seahawks at number 1. The biggest tier we have had in this whole season. Now for predictions, as always, let's get the easy games out of the way. Broncos, Colts, Bills, Panthers, Jaguars, and Lions should all get easy wins, no question. Giants at Bears. Bears did have a great offensive game, but their defense, not so much. However, I do think they will be able to pull it out over the Giants despite some of their upside. Ravens at Vikings should be pretty close, and I do think the Vikings could win, but I'm going to take the Ravens because they have a bit more momentum after getting Lamar Jackson back. The Browns and Jets is going to be an absolute garbage off, but I do think the Browns are less garbage than the garbage Jets with only one fluky win. The Patriots and the Buccaneers is going to be really close. I will take the Patriots because, again, they have more momentum, and I feel like their offense will be able to overpower the Buccaneers. In the Sunday late session, we have an NFC West fest. Cardinals at Seahawks. I'm going to take the Seahawks, although I do think the Cardinals could be a sneaky team to beat the Seahawks after that loss on Thursday Night Football a few weeks ago. And we have the Rams and the 49ers. This is the most important game for both of these teams to assure their position in regards to one another, because I think it will be crucial. I'm going to take the Rams because they are in a much better spot health-wise than they were with the 49ers last time. And I do think that Puka Nacua and Matthew Stafford will be able to connect really well. On Sunday Night Football, we got the Steelers and the Chargers. And honestly, this is going to be a really interesting game, and that I don't think will make too much of a difference in the playoff picture. But I'm going to take the Chargers because I think the Steelers just haven't been able to deliver despite that Colts win. On Monday, we have the Eagles at the Packers. And right now, I think the Eagles are just a more consistent team than the Packers, although the Packers do like to play up to competition, so I can see them getting a win there, but I'll take the Eagles here instead. Alright, finally, it's time for my surprise that I've been keeping from you guys. Since it's the midseason, let's see where we're at in the playoff picture and who I think will win the Super Bowl trophy. Yep, we're doing a playoff bracket. Starting on the NFC side, we have the Buccaneers, the Eagles, the Seahawks, the Lions, the Rams, the 49ers, and the Packers. And yes, there are some questionable placements on here, but I had to look at each of the team schedules, and I saw that the Buccaneers have a very likely 14-3 path in front of them, with only a few tough games coming up for them. Also, the 49ers, why are they there? It's because they really lucked out on the schedule. I don't think they're a great team, and I think there are some NFC teams that are better than them, but they just don't have as easy of a schedule or as easy of a path to the playoffs there. On the AFC side, we have the Colts, Bills, Broncos, Ravens, Patriots, Chiefs, and Chargers, making 3 AFC West teams. The Colts have enough of a lead and enough momentum to hold on to their number 1 spot, and I think the Bills will be able to edge out the Patriots for their divisional championship. It's going to be close, don't get me wrong. I think they're both going to be 13-4 based on their schedule, but I see the Bills winning a tiebreaker. I trust them more than the Patriots, especially with the Patriots' inexperience towards the end of the season. And overall, I think the Bills are just a better team, so I'll have them take the division. Also, the Ravens at 4. They did not have a great start to the season, 1-5, but the Steelers are starting to fall off even after that Colts win, and I think the Ravens have a likely path to 10-7 with 2 wins over the Steelers. That should be enough to overcome that lead. Let's get into the matchups, shall we? I'm going to take the Rams over the Lions in this rematch between Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford once again. I just think that they have the better offense overall, and I think they'll be able to outpace the Lions. With the Seahawks and the 49ers, this isn't a hard take at all. It's going to be the Seahawks. Same with the Eagles and the Packers. I'm going to take the Eagles. Both bird teams are just too offensively powerful, and the other teams are just too injured to actually get past them. In the divisional round, I'm going to take the Rams over the Buccaneers. This is going to be another tough game for the Rams, but the Buccaneers just are too injured despite their clutch factor, and I think the Rams will be able to outpace them. With the Seahawks and the Eagles, this is going to be an offensive shootout, but I think the Seattle Seahawks will be able to pull it out because they just have too much talent on that roster and too much momentum again to be stopped. And I think they'll be able to match up with the Rams in the conference championship game, a divisional match. And which team will be able to know their opponent more is what's going to be super important here. I think the Seahawks will be able to do it. Again, I just have to emphasize their offense is too good, and their defense will be able to complement that just enough for them to win that game. And while I do think the Rams definitely could get into that same spot, I'm going to take the Seahawks here. On the AFC wildcard games, I'm going to take the Patriots over the Ravens. Just too much upside for the Patriots. Drake May is playing like an MVP, and the Ravens just haven't been able to pull out enough wins for them to really convince me that they're going to be able to win a game when they have looked better in the regular season in other seasons. but haven't been able to deliver on those promises, and I don't think they'll be able to deliver here. Broncos and Chiefs. The Broncos have the most devil magic in this regular season, but the Chiefs will always be able to overcome their rivals with devil magic. Finally, with the Chargers and Bills, this is not going to be a hard game at all, and I think they'll be able to take an easy win here. In the divisional round, we have a slot of two really tight games. I'm going to take the Colts because they just have a little bit more consistency than the Patriots. They have a offensive player of the year running back, a great quarterback to complement it all, and they just picked up a key defensive weapon in Sauce Gardner to be able to contain Stephon Diggs. So I think they'll be able to match up really well with that. And finally, for the divisional matchup that is always up there in the playoffs, will the Bills be able to vanquish their demon? I think so. Is there any rational reason why? Not really. I just think the Chiefs have not looked convincing in the regular season, and I'm a Bills fan, so my delusions are going to overcome me here. In the AFC Championship game, I'm going to take the Bills for their experience in the playoffs. They are too good in the playoffs. You might not hear that from a lot of people, but Josh Allen is 7-2 against every other team in the playoffs aside from the Chiefs. And I think they'll be able to use that against the Colts, especially with the momentum they gained from the Chiefs game. Finally, in the Super Bowl between the Seattle Seahawks and the Buffalo Bills, an offensive shootout. Both of their defenses will not be able to contain each other, but I think because of experience, Josh Allen will be able to take it. I could definitely see it going either way. I'm going to say the Bills win their first ever Lombardi Trophy. Alright, again, thank you for making it to this point. I was trying to get this out on Wednesday, but I just wasn't able to manage it all with the crazy amounts of stuff that happened in the beginning of this week. Thankfully, it should be out before the Thursday night football game. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe, and I will see you next week. Thanks, guys.